Cave diving is often described as the ultimate adventure, but with every breathtaking descent comes a danger that's equally unforgiving. Today, we're diving into two chilling stories where excitement turned into tragedy. In the first tale, a diver pushed the limits of Devil's Eye Cave, unaware his equipment wasn't designed for the depths he dared to explore, leading to a devastating collapse in the dark abyss. And in the second story, a group of friends, skilled in open water but untrained for the perils of cave diving, took on the infamous Death Cave. These stories serve as haunting reminders of how unpredictable and merciless the depths can be. So, are you ready to uncover what lies beneath the surface? Let's dive in. Deep in the heart of Gilchrist County, Florida, lies a hidden world of wonder and danger known as the Devil's Eye Cave System. Just a short drive west of High Springs, this underwater labyrinth is part of the renowned Ginnie Springs Resort Complex, a popular destination for both adventure seekers and nature lovers alike. With two main entrances, aptly named Devil's Eye and Devil's Ear, the cave system offers a glimpse into an awe-inspiring but treacherous realm beneath the surface, where the beauty of nature intertwines with the risks that come with exploring such an enigmatic environment. The Devil's Eye is a striking circular opening, about 20 feet across and just as deep, creating an inviting yet intimidating portal into the depths below. Below this mesmerizing entrance stretches an expansive network of underwater passageways, with over 30,000 feet mapped so far, though large portions remain unexplored and shrouded in mystery. Carlos Fonseca was not your average diver. Hailing from Caledon, Ontario, Carlos had made diving his passion and his way of life. For him, it wasn't just a hobby, it was a calling that resonated deeply within him. His dedication opened doors to incredible adventures and lifelong friendships, including his membership in Great Lakes Technical Divers, GLTD, a community of like-minded individuals who shared his enthusiasm for underwater exploration. Through this group, Carlos pursued his dream of exploration, pushing the boundaries of what was possible underwater, always eager to learn and grow in his craft. On August 8, 2013, Carlos embarked on what seemed like just another thrilling dive, this time in the Devil's Eye Cave System. He and a couple of close friends, all experienced divers, drove to the site, ready for adventure and the thrill of exploration. The group had planned this dive for weeks, preparing their gear and mapping out their route meticulously, ensuring they were well equipped for the challenges that lay ahead. The goal was to explore deeper sections of the cave, pushing their limits just a little further, eager to uncover the hidden wonders that awaited them in the depths. As they prepped their equipment, Carlos grabbed a tank labeled with markings, indicating it was filled with oxygen suitable for a depth of 20 feet. His friends, noticing this, raised concerns. Why would he use an oxygen tank at depths beyond its safety limits? They exchanged worried glances, knowing the risks involved in diving, especially in a place as notorious as the Devil's Eye. Carlos, confident in his skills and experience, brushed off their worries, assuring them the tank was filled with air and he had prepared it himself. Trusting his judgment, they let it slide, though a lingering sense of unease hung in the air. As they descended into the depths of the cave, the water enveloped them and the world above faded away. The beauty of the underwater landscape was breathtaking, with shimmering light filtering through the water, illuminating the intricate formations of rock and the vibrant aquatic life that thrived in this hidden realm. Carlos led the way, navigating through the winding passages with ease, his heart racing with excitement and anticipation. The thrill of exploration coursed through him, and he felt alive in a way that only the depths of the ocean could provide. However, as they ventured deeper, the atmosphere shifted, the light began to fade, and the sense of isolation grew stronger. The cave's beauty was undeniable, but so was the danger that lurked in the shadows. Carlos and his friends pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets of the Devil's Eye, unaware of the challenges that awaited them in the dark, uncharted waters. Everything seemed fine at first, and the thrill of adventure filled the air. But as they ventured farther, about 400 feet upstream, something went terribly wrong. Carlos, who had been leading confidently just moments before, suddenly began convulsing, his body betraying him in a shocking turn of events. He lost consciousness and began to sink, his body becoming a lifeless weight in the water. At a depth of 85 feet, his body succumbed to what is known as oxygen toxicity, a dangerous condition caused by breathing in too much oxygen under pressure, a risk that even the most seasoned divers must be aware of. For those unfamiliar with the term, oxygen toxicity is a serious condition that occurs when the levels of oxygen in the body become too high, especially under the increased pressure found underwater. It can lead to seizures, lung damage, and in severe cases, death. At 85 feet, the partial pressure of oxygen in Carlos's tank was about 3.6, well above the safe limit for diving at that depth. This overload proved fatal, triggering the seizures that led to his sudden collapse, leaving his friends in a state of panic and disbelief. Carlos's teammates acted quickly, their training kicking in as they pulled him to the surface as fast as they could while ensuring their own safety. Other divers in the area, including trained cave instructors, rushed to help, their instincts driving them to assist in any way possible. CPR was administered in a desperate attempt to revive him, and Carlos was transported to a nearby hospital, where hopes for his recovery dwindled. Tragically, despite their efforts and the urgency of the situation, he was pronounced dead, leaving a profound sense of loss in the hearts of those who knew him. News of Carlos's death spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the diving community. How could such a seasoned and skilled diver fall victim to something so preventable? Speculation ran wild, with some questioning his expertise, suggesting he may not have been as capable as people believed. But those who knew Carlos dismissed these claims vehemently. He was an expert, a man who had dedicated his life to mastering the craft of diving, and his reputation was built on years of hard work and commitment. Investigations into the incident revealed the tragic oversight that led to this heartbreaking outcome. The oxygen tank Carlos used contained 98% oxygen, far exceeding the safety threshold for the depths he was exploring. This mistake, likely an accidental oversight, proved fatal. His other tanks were correctly filled with a safer mix of gases, but it was the stage bottle he relied on that led to his untimely death. A stark reminder of the importance of double-checking equipment before embarking on such perilous adventures. Carlos's story serves as a sobering reminder of the risks involved in cave diving, a sport that demands respect and caution. Even the most experienced divers are not immune to mistakes, and the consequences can be devastating. Hidden in the pine forest east of Mount Gambier, there's a small, peaceful-looking sinkhole with a dark secret. People who live nearby know it as Allen's Cave, but its other name, Death Cave, tells the real story of its tragic history. From above, the cave looks safe and beautiful. The clear water sparkles in the sunlight, making divers want to explore its mysteries. But under this calm surface lies a dangerous maze that can trap even the best divers. The cave showed its deadly nature in 1972 when 3 young people lost their lives in a terrible accident that left the diving community in shock. Though it's only 65 feet deep, Allen's Cave has become known as a place of danger and a reminder of how dangerous it can be to underestimate nature's power. Allen's Cave is a strange mix of beauty and danger. At first glance, it looks simple enough, just a narrow but pretty underwater space to explore. But those who really know the cave understand that this small sinkhole is actually very dangerous. The cave starts with an open space near the entrance, but then turns into tight passages with silty walls before opening into a bigger cave room filled with crystal clear water. The cave's beauty can trick divers into going deeper, making them forget about the dangers below. The bottom of the cave is covered in deep, soft mud that creates an invisible threat. If someone moves carelessly, they can stir up this mud, creating thick clouds that make it impossible to see. When this happens, even experienced divers can get lost, finding themselves trapped in complete darkness underwater. On Monday, October 9th, 1972, 4 divers, Ron, Sandra, Christopher, and Dave, decided to explore Allen's cave. They had spent the weekend checking out other sinkholes nearby and were heading back to Adelaide. The group had different levels of experience. Ron was only 17 and had been diving for just 18 months. Sandra, 18, had about the same experience. Christopher, also 17, had been diving for 2 years and knew a bit more than the others. Dave, who led the group, was 39 and had been diving for 15 years. But even though Dave had lots of diving experience, there was one big problem. None of them knew how to dive in caves properly. They only knew how to dive in open water, which is very different from cave diving. This missing knowledge would end up costing them dearly. During their trip back home, the group noticed Allen's cave and thought they'd do one last dive before ending their day. They didn't plan this dive carefully. They just wanted a quick look around. Thinking they wouldn't go far inside, they left important safety gear behind, including the guideline they needed to mark their way. The dive started peacefully. They swam into the water and looked around the shallow parts near the entrance. The water was so clear they could see everything, and the underwater view was beautiful. Big rocks and amazing stone shapes were all around them, making it feel like they were in a magical underwater world. Then they found a low, flat tunnel about 19 feet under the water. Dave, who was leading the group, wanted to check it out quickly because it looked interesting. The tunnel was tight, only 3 feet high and 9 feet wide, but they could swim through it. They followed Dave one after another into the tunnel. As they swam deeper, it got harder to avoid touching the muddy bottom in the narrow space. After swimming about 19 feet, they came into a bigger cave room with perfectly clear water. For a moment, they were amazed. The cave was stunning, a beautiful underwater room that nobody above could see. But their amazement quickly changed to fear. When Ron looked back at the tunnel they came through, he couldn't see anything. The soft mud they had stirred up had made the water so cloudy that their exit was completely hidden. Fear started spreading as they realized how bad things were. The mud cloud was so thick that even their lights couldn't shine through the dark water. They were stuck, couldn't see, and were lost in an underwater maze with no clear way out. The clear water that had amazed them earlier was now a dark mix of mud, leaving them in complete darkness. Trying to escape, the divers felt along the cave walls, hoping to find the tunnel they came through. But every move they made just stirred up more mud, making things even worse. Their air tanks were getting low and time was running out. Ron tried to stay calm despite being scared. At one point, he bumped into Dave and grabbed him, hoping they could find the way out together. But everything was too confusing and scary. They lost hold of each other, and Ron was left alone in the dark cave. In the pitch black water, Ron heard faint noises, the knocking of air tanks and the sound of breathing equipment. These sounds meant his friends were close, but he couldn't see them through the muddy water. His heart raced when his breathing device came loose for a moment. Though he fixed it quickly, he knew his air was running very low. Just when he was about to give up hope, Ron saw a dim green light above him. This light meant he was near the surface, a chance to survive. Using all his strength, he swam up toward it. Within seconds, he broke through to the surface, taking deep breaths of fresh air. Though Ron made it out alive, he couldn't feel happy. His friends were still stuck in the cave. Wanting to help them, he quickly told the rescue team and tried making noise with his air tank, hoping the others could follow the sound. But the thick mud in the water and the cave's confusing tunnels made it impossible for them to escape. Dave, Sandra, and Christopher never came out of the cave. The next day, they called Mac Laurie, a professional diver and Dave's good friend, to find the bodies. It was a dangerous job. Using special diving equipment with lots of air, Mac went into the dangerous cave. He found Dave's body near the entrance, while Sandra and Christopher were found together in a dead-end tunnel. They had probably thought it was the way out during their desperate attempt to escape. The Allen's Cave accident deeply affected everyone who loved diving. It showed how dangerous underwater exploring could be and why proper training and equipment were so important. After this tragedy, they sealed the cave permanently. Now, a concrete block and gate stop anyone from entering what has become an underwater grave. The Allen's Cave disaster didn't happen just because of bad luck. It happened because the divers weren't prepared and didn't respect how dangerous cave diving could be. Many things went wrong. They didn't have a safety rope to follow. They didn't bring extra air tanks, and they weren't experienced enough with cave diving. Cave diving isn't like normal diving. It needs special training, better equipment, and a real understanding of what could go wrong. It's not something people should do without being fully prepared. Allen's Cave reminds us that even beautiful places can be deadly if we're not careful. Today, the cave stands quiet, teaching us about the lives lost and the lessons we learned. While the water might look peaceful on top, underneath lies a scary reminder of how powerful nature can be. For anyone thinking about exploring unknown places, Allen's Cave has an important message. Don't let beautiful things fool you, and never think you're too safe.